My name is Elena Cross. I'm 35 years old, and at this exact moment, I'm standing in the center of a luxury resort on the edge of Lake Tahoe, pretending I didn't just hear my mother-in-law mutter, loud enough for the whole table to hear, that I forgot the dressing. Again, as if I were one of the waitstaff. I'm not. I'm a structural engineer. For the past 10 years, I've managed major infrastructure projects, from earthquake-resistant hospitals to urban bridges that hold up entire cities. But in the Cross family, I'm just Owen's wife, the quiet one. The woman with calloused hands who's always at some construction site. To Vivian, my mother-in-law, and the rest of the Cross, I've always been something between a houseplant and a background extra. They never really asked what I did. They just assumed it involved manual labor, hard hats, and men's work. One Thanksgiving, Vivian even asked if I'd thought about quitting to focus on starting a family, like I was wasting precious womb time holding blueprints. They never understood or cared that I designed the buildings they take selfies in. So yeah, I'm used to being invisible at these annual family retreats. Every summer, like clockwork, they descend on this same resort. Chandeliers, private docks, fireplaces that smell like generational wealth. I show up, smile through clenched teeth, and try not to flinch when they forget, again, that I don't eat pork, that I already brought the salad, or that I have a name. To them, I'm just here, decorative, disposable, silent. And until now, I've let them believe that. But this year, everything's changed. I'm not just another face in the background. I'm the reason the reservation system got overhauled. I signed off on the menu, cut their little family discount, and made sure every room was charged at market rate. Why? Because I own this place. Every pine beam, every wine glass, every lake-facing suite. They just don't know it yet. Let me rewind for a second. Owen and I have been married nearly 11 years. He's a tenured professor, brilliant, soft-spoken, and genuinely good in his own way. But courage, especially when it came to his family, that was always missing. He never spoke up when they expected me to serve dinner while the other wives sipped Chardonnay. Never said a word when they called me sweet, but a little rough around the edges. Not even when Vivian smiled at her bridge club and said, "This is Owen's wife. She went to one of those technical colleges out west." Bless her heart. And that stung. Because while they were off wine tasting in Bordeaux and posting kitchen remodels from their third homes, I was in steel-toed boots, pouring concrete foundations, paying off every dime of my student loans, and learning how to read contracts the way most people read novels. I didn't push back. I didn't compete. I just stayed quiet, stayed underestimated. I worked. I saved. And I built. Like I always do. 7 years ago, I funneled my savings into a discreet real estate investment fund. My design, my rules. Started small. Boutique hotels, fixer-uppers, places no one paid attention to. At first, it was just business. But when this resort went up for sale last year, I didn't blink. It was expensive. I cashed out stocks, sold my rental duplex, and risked it all. Not just for the return, but because I wanted to own the one thing they valued, the thing they thought I'd never be good enough to touch. Now here I am, standing at the welcome dinner in a $40 navy sundress, while they flaunt their designer linen and compare Tesla specs like they're trading cards. Owen's brother just asked if I could grab more napkins from the kitchen. I didn't argue. I just smiled. Because tomorrow, at the owner's dinner, the resort manager will announce the new majority shareholder. And when the Crosses ask who could have possibly bought their beloved retreat, he'll look straight at me. And Vivian? I can't imagine her face, but it must have been funny. That night, I sat alone on our balcony, while the rest of them laughing, drinking wine-roasted marshmallows by the fire pit. I could hear them, always could, but I wasn't in it, never had been. Marrying Owen was like stepping into a world with invisible fences. They didn't scream, didn't snarl, they just smiled. Asked about my job, if I really liked working with cement and scaffolding, like it was a hobby, not a career. His mother, Vivian, never said anything outright cruel, because her tone when talking to me was full of sarcasm, like when she asked where I got my work boots, then added, "At least you're comfortable?" Or when I mentioned a bridge project I led, and she blinked, smiled, and said, "Well, someone's got to do the dirty work." She once whispered to Owen, loud enough for me to hear, "She's sweet, but maybe not marriage material for a family like ours." Owen never confronted her, never defended me, just squeezed my hand and murmured, "She means well." That line became his shield and my prison. In the beginning, I went over backward to belong. Hosted holidays, handpicked gifts, volunteered to plan every vacation detail. It didn't matter. I was always the outsider invited out of politeness. One year, I organized Owen's dad's entire retirement bash. Venue, invites, caterers, playlist. When his sister gave the toast, she thanked everyone, named the caterer, the florist, even the valet. But not me. Owen noticed. He leaned over, kissed my cheek, whispered, "You did most of it." But did he say anything aloud? Of course not. That was the pattern, silent validation, no accountability. A week before our 3rd anniversary, his cousin Haley clinked her wine glass, pulled me aside, and said, "Honestly, most women don't last this long around us. They just fade." She smiled like it was a compliment. I smiled too, and later that night, I cried in the shower, full blast, so Owen wouldn't hear. Eventually, I stopped begging for space at their table. I poured everything into my work, the one place where steel beams followed my design, and no one ever asked if I belonged. That's when I started investing quietly, consistently. I worked long hours, skipped vacations, drove the same car for 8 years. They all thought it was because I was struggling. They didn't know I was building a war chest. Then last summer, we came back here. Same resort, same entitled laughter. And Owen's uncle cracked a joke. Said it was surprising how good I was with my hands. Everyone laughed, even Owen. And I just sat there smiling with my teeth clenched so tight my jaw ached for days. That night, through the paper-thin hotel walls, I heard Vivian on the phone. I don't know who she was gossiping with, but I remember every word. "She's sweet," she said. "Harmless, but she'll never be one of us. You can just tell by the way she walks, like she's still trying too hard." Something snapped in me, not because it was cruel, because it was final, a life sentence delivered with a smile. That same night, I sent a message to an old colleague, now in hotel acquisitions. 4 months later, my offer was accepted. No one in this family knows. The deal closed under a holding company, Clear Pines Hospitality Group. I stayed in the shadows, on purpose. I kept the manager, upgraded every back-end system, rewrote the policies, quietly, just how I like it. But tomorrow night, at the annual ownership summit, the name behind the company goes public. When they find out it's me, and that their cozy family discounts are gone, they're going to choke on their wine. Next summer, they'll pay full price, just like everyone else. And here's the twist. Owen still doesn't know. Not because I'm hiding it, because he's never asked. Never once wondered where I go, who I meet with, or why I come home smelling like drywall and late nights. I think deep down he still thinks I work in tech. He's a good man, but he's never seen me. Not really. And after a decade of shrinking to fit inside his world, I stopped trying. Tomorrow isn't about revenge. It's not even about proving them wrong. It's about stepping out of the shadows, on my own terms. And if the truth burns their eyes, they can look away. The morning unfolded like every other. Lakefront mimosas, overpriced eggs, Owenedict arranged like museum pieces, and a table full of crosses out-talking each other like it was an open casting call for a Bravo reboot. I sat at the far end of the table, quietly swirling my coffee, while Chloe, Owen's sister, complained that the service had really slipped since last summer, like she was writing a 1-star Yelp review in real time. The rest piled on like gossip was a competitive event. The girl at check-in actually asked for ID, Haley scoffed, tossing her hair like she was testifying before Congress. The valet basically accused me of grand theft auto, Uncle Ron grumbled. I kept quiet and took another sip. Then Chloe said the thing that made my grip tighten around the mug. Honestly, I miss when this place was still family-owned. Back then, it had soul. Now it's just another faceless corporation pretending to be classy. Owen, ever the academic and somehow still oblivious, nodded. Yeah, I heard a holding company bought it. No soul anymore, just rules and red tape. No soul, huh? That faceless corporation installed a real filtration system for the lake, replaced half the rotting HVACs, bumped employee wages, and fixed back-end systems that had been neglected for years. But sure, let's romanticize the days of free rosé and zero accountability. But what really got me? Owen didn't even flinch. Didn't pick up on the irony. Didn't once wonder why I spent all week on Zoom or why I wandered the property every evening with a clipboard. It never occurred to him. Never occurred to any of them that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't just another wife who brought a salad and stayed quiet. Maybe I mattered here. And I thought that was the low point, until dinner. That evening, we gathered in the private dining room. Vivian, of course, had planned every detail. She insisted on resort chic, whatever that means to someone who still thinks pearls equal power. I wore a navy sheath I bought off-season for $30 and the same heels I wore when I walked across the stage to get my engineering degree. Vivian gave me a once-over like she was debating whether to return a defective sofa. We hadn't even reached dessert when they launched back into their complaints. Who renovates a pool deck in August? Chloe whined. Clearly, they've never run a resort before. It's probably some tech bro, Logan added. Thinks a resort runs like an app. I'd love to sit down with whoever's running this place. Give them a dose of real-world advice. Owen leaned in and whispered, maybe we should leave a review. Could be constructive. I didn't answer. My chest was already on fire. Then Vivian, syrupy sweet and smug, raised her glass. I just hope whoever bought this place remembers that families like ours are the reason it's valuable. We built this place's reputation. I stared at her, not because I was shocked, but because of the certainty. The way she said it like it was gospel. Like the universe still orbited around her American Express card. I couldn't take one more word. I stood, excused myself, and stepped out into the cool night air. My hands were trembling, not from the cold. I walked to the edge of the stone patio and gripped the railing. Someone inside started playing the piano. Slow, software. It made my chest feel like it was caving in. I pulled out my phone and called Ethan, the resort manager. He answered on the second ring. Hey boss, you ready? I looked back through the glass. They were laughing, probably about me. Do it, I said. Announce it, tonight, before dessert. Copy that, he replied. You sure you don't want to be in there for it? No, I whispered. Let them sit with it first. I hung up and waited. From outside, I watched Ethan step forward and tap his wine glass. The dining hall fell quiet. I couldn't hear what he said, but I already knew every word. I knew exactly what Ethan was saying inside. As part of the ownership transition, Clear Pines Hospitality Group is proud to announce its acquisition of this property. And tonight, we're honored to acknowledge the person without whom none of this would be possible. I stepped through the doors, just in time to hear the final words. Miss Elena Cross. The room went dead. My heels echoed like a drum beat across the floor. Every face turned. Chloe dropped her fork. Haley's jaw actually dropped. Vivian's wine glass tipped, red soaking the white linen, but her hand stayed frozen in midair. Owen looked at me like I'd shape-shifted into a stranger. I locked eyes with him. You wanted to leave a review, Owen? I said, steady. I'll make sure it gets to the right inbox. You ever seen a whole table freeze like they'd just realized the person they were trashing was actually the CEO? Now multiply that by 10, pour a few glasses of Chardonnay over it, and add decades of unchecked privilege. That was the room. Owen's aunt actually choked on her dessert. Logan fumbled his phone into his lap. Someone whispered, "Wait, her?" Like I hadn't been here the whole time, clearing plates and being invisible. And Owen? He looked torn between awe, guilt, and straight-up embarrassment. I honestly don't think he knew which one to pick by the time dessert arrived. I didn't sit. I walked straight to the head of the table, Vivian's spot, and picked up the mic Ethan had left behind. My hands were still. I scanned each face one by one, and then I smiled. Don't worry. You're all still welcome here, just like everyone else now. Silence. No more upgrades, no VIP loopholes, no legacy pricing. Being across didn't buy privilege anymore. I handed the mic to the pianist and walked out before anyone could fake a smile, let alone clap. I made it to the hallway and finally breathed. Something inside me broke loose, not from rage, but from release. For the first time in a decade, I wasn't shrinking to fit. I wasn't begging to belong. I was finally standing at my full height, and it felt damn good. I skipped family brunch the next morning, let them stew. Instead, I walked the grounds with Ethan, clipboard in hand, inspecting the new lakefront renovations I'd personally approved. Staff nodded. Guests smiled. The resort felt different, like it finally recognized me. Not as Owen's wife, but as the woman who rebuilt it. Around noon, Chloe texted, "Can we talk?" I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, a knock. It was Owen. He looked like a man walking into a performance review he wasn't prepared for. "Elena," he said softly, "are you okay?" I looked at him. He wasn't a bad man, that's what made it worse. "You never asked," I said. Simple, plain truth. He blinked. "Asked what?" "What I do. Why I work late. Where I go when I travel. You never asked." "I didn't think I needed to," he said, like that cleared it all up. Exactly. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I let the silence land and settle until he walked away. That evening was the cocktail hour for legacy guests. I'd almost canceled it, until I realized I could repurpose it. So I did. The room buzzed with designer perfume and cheap speculation, whispers about the new owner, never once guessing she was about to walk through the door. I waited until the toast hit mid-sentence, then walked forward. "Good evening," I said into the mic. "Some of you already know me. Some of you thought you did." Nervous laughter, shifted feet. I clicked to the next slide, an aerial rendering of the upcoming expansion, new cabins, a wellness center, a dock for public kayaking, all funded by a new initiative, the Cross Women's Fund. Vivian visibly perked up at Cross. I'm sure she thought it was some family tribute. I looked her straight in the eye. "It's named after my mother, Cecilia Cross. She cleaned motel rooms in Oregon for 16 years, raised me alone, and taught me that respect isn't passed down, it's earned." Vivian's smile dropped like stage curtains after a flop. And then came the twist. I clicked to the final slide. "Oh, and starting next season, we'll be reviewing all current private lease agreements, especially the long-term family arrangements." Casual, precise, devastating. I didn't need to name names, they knew. Owen's uncle had 2 lakeside cabins at a discount rate since the Clinton administration. Chloe's was under her husband's name. Haley's parents were running a full-blown sublet business out of theirs, and I now controlled every single renewal. I smiled, thanked the room, and walked off the stage like it was mine. Because it was. Logan stepped into my path. "Hey, wait, can we talk?" I didn't break stride. "Of course," I said. "You can book through guest services, like everyone else." 3 days later, I sat on the dock at sunrise, coffee warm in my hand, watching the water exhale like I finally could. Still, steady, free. But the resort? Not so calm. By noon the next day, my inbox looked like a war zone. Owen's uncle sent 2 desperate emails asking to reconsider. Chloe left a voice note with the word misunderstanding in it 5 times. And Vivian? Vivian left a voicemail dripping with manufactured warmth. Elena, sweetheart, I think this has all just gotten a bit dramatic, don't you? We're family. We can work something out. Woman to woman. From the same woman who once told me engineers should take posture classes because all that manual labor makes women look tired. But I wasn't angry. I was focused. Surgical. By Friday, my legal team had audited every lease. Chloe had quietly made over $40,000 subletting during peak season, never reported a cent. I didn't go after the money. I forwarded the findings to the state. 2 weeks later, she got a formal audit notice. I didn't even reply, just sent her a very good CPA's number. Owen's uncle's lease had technically expired years ago. He'd been coasting on backdoor extensions. I gave him 30 days to vacate. That cabin now houses veterans and their families, free of charge. And then there was Vivian. Oh, she came, dressed in pearls and desperation. She walked into my office uninvited, voice trembling with civility, said things like appearances, community, and Owen's image. I let her talk, for 5 full minutes. Then I opened my drawer and slid an envelope across the desk. Inside, documentation from 3 former employees, housekeepers, hosts, interns, all harassed, all dismissed, all now formally apologized to by me. I'd settled those cases quietly, but now, face to face, I told her, any public victim act, and that press statement goes out. Not a threat, a fact. She left pale and shaking, clutching her pearls like they could protect her from the truth. And Owen? He didn't fight, not once. After the reveal, he spiraled, questioned everything, me, himself, every silence between us. We talked, cried, sat in silence, and finally I told him what I hadn't even known until I said it aloud. I didn't marry into this family to be accepted. I stayed because I kept hoping one day you'd see me, really see me, but I don't need that anymore, because now I see myself, and that's enough. He moved out a month later. No fight, no explosion, just an ending. We're not enemies, but we're no longer a team. And strangely, that hurt less than I expected. Because for once, I wasn't losing something. I was reclaiming something. The quiet girl who brought the salad? She owns the damn table now. Sometimes closure doesn't come wrapped in an apology. It comes in the form of power. Quiet. Earned. Undeniable. And once you have it, that quiet, self-built strength, there's no giving it back. No one can shrink you once you've expanded on your own terms. If you've ever been overlooked, underestimated, or made to feel like a guest in your own story, I want to hear how you rewrote your ending. Drop your story in the comments. Someone out there might need the reminder that they're not alone and not done. And if this one hit a little too close to home, you know what to do. Hit subscribe. I've got more stories where this came from. Ones that don't end with silence, but with power.